moms. 80% of the women I serve are mothers. So I'm Toni Jones. I own a wellness brand called Wife Your Life. And I help the high achieving, ambitious woman wife her life through wellness. And so I do that through programming, online programming, one-on-one sessions, and I curate these very unique, intimate events. And so, and the wellness that I support in my brand is mindset wellness, spiritual wellness, and everyday womanhood. So that's how I show up in the world in serving women.
Awesome. So Julie, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yay.
So my name is Julie Tobi, and I wear two entrepreneurial hats. But first, I'm a mom, first and foremost. I have a 6-year-old who just started first grade, and I have a 2.5-year-old. He'll be 3 in December. So the entrepreneurial hats I wear, I both have a product-based business, which I don't even like calling it that, but in the entrepreneur world, that's what it is. But it's the birth journal. It's a guided keepsake journal for moms to write their birth story. So part of my professional world is empowering moms and encouraging them to connect with their birth experience and writing it pen to paper. And then I'm also a transformational life coach. So I have a master's degree in counseling and found that really where I thrived was working with people who were thinking about kind of their professional growth and personal growth as it related to their core being and their core why. So not the stories that other people tell them they should be doing, like, well, when you're a mom, you should be doing X, Y, and Z, or you don't have time to pursue whatever it else might be that you want to be doing with your life. And so helping moms kind of rewrite the stories. And I work with people who aren't moms as well. And I do that through one-on-one work and then also speaking events.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's get started with Toni. So Toni, tell us about, we started with awareness. We started with health, nutrition, and wellness because we wanted to lay the foundation for, self-care and making sure that we fuel our body with the right food, with the right, with the right nutrition so that we can have time for our family, we can have time for our work. And so our second pillar is awareness, discovery, and spirituality, which is, how do we better, bring our whole self to the table so that we're not, frazzled, right? Because I see myself half of the time I'm running around trying to do so many things that I sometimes drop the ball on important things, right? Sometimes it's my family, sometimes it's my job, sometimes it's mother honestly, where because I don't have the full grasp of reality of what I need to be doing, I am not present half of the time. I struggle there in integrating my life properly. So can you just share with us what you have planned for tonight around, work-life balance when it comes to awareness, recovery, and spirituality?
Yeah. Can you go to the next slide?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so my heart is like racing right now because I can't tell y'all how overly zealous I am about enrolling the modern day achieving woman back to her intuition on what she needs for her well-being and her work ethic to marry in a healthy way. And so when it comes to discovery, we're talking about discovery, awareness, spirituality in relation to work-life balance. And so when it comes to balance, I've always heard that balance is not possible. And I contradict myself because it's somewhat true. You can't have a balance of extending yourself to everything in an equal way, right? Motherhood, marriage, friendship, fitness, nutrition, projects, passion, hair, clothing, hygiene. Like, could you imagine trying to give everything equal amounts of time just to achieve a healthy balance? It's not possible. But on the other hand, I believe balance is possible with prioritizing. So the first step, this is the suggestion that I make. The first step in discovery is asking yourself, what are you learning? What questions are you asking yourself? What is your heart yearning for? One of the things I heard you say, Blessing, is what am I doing? What do I want? Ask the right questions to discover What about Thursday? What about Thursday is getting exactly what it needs? Like, what about my Thursday is getting exactly what it needs? Like, what is the priority of today? You know, how am I aligning myself to my truest desire, my truest priority of the day? You know, and asking those questions. You know, I know when we start our morning, we get into the swank of things. I got to do this. Our brain rushes all of these tasks and agendas to our minds, right? So how are we arresting that what our brain is used to doing and bring it into subjection to our awareness? And the only way you can do that is through presence. You know, it's not rocket science. Like, I don't have a formula. It's all going back to presence. Because when you're thinking about all of these things, even when you're in the shower, I've said this before, and I always say it. We're in the shower, we're thinking about all these things, you know, and I got to do this, we got to do that, and got to do, you know, we're all over the place instead of just being present in the shower, right? So the shower ends up becoming a stressful experience because it's not what we're doing that's stressful. It's our thinking that is making the experience stressful. Does that make sense? So if we're sending emails, if we're running errands, if we're making phone calls, if we're planning projects, it's not the projects, the doing that's stressful. It's our thinking and our scatteredness in our mind. So we're not present with what we're doing. If you are driving the car, if you are headed somewhere, if you're on a phone call, be present with that. Don't think about dinner. Don't think about all those other things because you're going to scatter yourself. So ask yourself, what do I want to do today? What do I actually need? What am I willing to allow? What am I willing to allow to fall today? Because something's going to fall. Something's going to collapse because we show up big in our lives. Children are very demanding. Families are very demanding. Our passions and purpose are very demanding. So we're not going to be able to get to everything. So how do we make peace? Asking yourself, how do I make peace with what doesn't get done today and feel good about what gets done today? Okay, so when it comes to discovery, it's all about asking those questions for yourself. And it may sound kind of kumbaya, hippie-like, but it's very important because you're going back. When you ask those questions, you're going back to your intuition. You're going back to how your body feels. You're going back to what truly is your priority for the day. Okay? The second piece, first of all, do you have any questions, insights? I don't know if we're taking questions or insights while I'm going, or do you want me to keep going, Blessing?
I think you should keep going. We can take questions at the end.
Okay, great. Okay, the second piece of this pillar is awareness. Once you start to answer those discovery questions, because you know what the discovery, I can't give you like, oh, these are the top 5 discovery questions that's going to provide this glorious monster of clarity. Like, no, that's not going to happen. You know the questions that you need to ask yourself. You know, once you answer those discovery questions, you become aware of what you need to do. Okay? Once you answer those discovery questions, you become aware of what you really need to do today. And that may require you to write it down. That may require you to set the alarm clock to remind you for 2 very important tasks that are non-negotiables that you have to get done on Friday, on Thursday, on the weekend. You know, it puts you, asking the right questions puts you into like radical awareness of what you need to do and what you're willing to let go for the day. Because again, like I said, I can't stress this enough, that something is not going to get done on that list. Something may be, you may forget, you may drop the ball. Like Blessing, you said sometimes you drop the ball on important things, but how do you make peace with that? You know, how do you not shame yourself for not getting that done? You know, it's always going back to your emotional and mental health. It's like something didn't get done today, all is well. I should have did that. Tomorrow I will, or tonight I will, whatever the case may be. You have to be aware that it's very important for this and this to not have any internal violence. And the only way that you can manage that is through presence. It's through presence. It's just understanding like, okay, I didn't get a phone call today. Nobody died today. Wasn't any trauma or tragedy that happened. My kids are safe and healthy. I'm grateful that I'm driving in my car. I didn't get in that accident. You see what I'm saying? It's just like being present with now, and it's all is well. So that awareness of knowing what you need to do for the day and making peace with what gets done and what doesn't get done, you have to just make peace with that, because it happens every day. I notice sometimes when I don't get stuff done, within my day that I had on my agenda that was very important, I'll just be like, oh my God, and then by the end of the night, I'm tired. I don't feel like doing it. I just want to go to bed. I really don't have any brain space to give energy to any other things, right? So the next morning, my brain rushes all of these things I did not get done for the day. And the third piece, go back to the third piece for me, Blessing. Sorry. And the third piece is spirituality. Once you're aware, what is the practice? What is a non-negotiable practice, spiritual practice that you are maintaining? Like, it's non-negotiable. Like, brushing your teeth is non-negotiable. You can't be smelling for a whole week, so you take the shower is non-negotiable. What is that spiritual practice that is a non-negotiable? Because guess what that does? It goes back to that spiritual practice takes you back to going within yourself. And we go back to going within yourself, you get the opportunity to be loyal to your intuition. And when you're loyal to your intuition, you ask those questions to discover the answers so you can be aware of what you need to do. Spirituality can look so many different ways. It can look so many different ways, but you have to say that you have to make that contract, that internal contract with yourself, and say, this is non-negotiable, because I'm showing up so big in life for my kids, for my family, for my wealth building, for my projects, for my business, for my job, it goes on and on. I'm showing up so big. My tank, personal responsibility to myself has to be nourished. And I wish I could pay somebody to do my self-care. I wish I could pay somebody to do my self-love work. I wish I could pay somebody to nourish me, but I'm responsible for that. And I have to give myself permission, even though I'm responsible for all these other things. I have to give myself permission to say, you know what? The only way that I can distribute myself and my energy and time to all these other people, I have to give myself that practice, that non-negotiable, to going within. And it doesn't have to be this 3-hour yogi session of meditation and drinking tea and all these other things. It could be a minute, it could be 2 minutes, but it has to be that non-negotiable, to where you get in the practice of acknowledging your being, so you know what you're doing throughout the week and throughout the day. So the work-life balance, and you can go to the next slide, Blessing. I'm almost done. And when you do this, that awareness, that discovery, that awareness, that non-negotiable spiritual practice, it helps you just remember, you know what? I am a human being. I'm not just a human doing. I'm not just going to be just this human that's doing and doing. You are a spiritual being going through a human experience as a woman. The unfortunate thing, we don't have a society or public education or college that educates us in that, right? We have to go to driver's school to get a license. We have to go through the K through 12 experience to, get a high school diploma. We have to get a degree for various reasons to, work in our field. But when it comes to remembering that we are a spiritual being going through a human experience, we kind of just winging that, But we got to remember that. But I really believe that process of having a spiritual practice to bring you into that discovery, asking those questions to bring you awareness of what you really need to do, because we'll probably be surprised of how much of our doing we actually don't really want to do, and it's probably not really aligned to our heart's desire, and most of it could be. But just going back to within yourself, being loyal to that intuition to guide you into a healthier relationship between your well-being and your work ethic. So that's what I have for you all tonight. I hope it resonated. Hope it was nourishing to your insight awareness on that work-life balance.
Myself, I had to unmute myself because I was like making all sort of noises in the background. But no, thank you so much, Toni. That was amazing. Does anybody have questions? I know a few people are muted. So so Toni, we had people on the chat. So a lot of people had some comments on the chat. So let me see who has a question. Does anybody have a question? Okay. So no, thank you so much, Toni. That was amazing. I think one thing that stood out to me was, you can outsource everything except self-care. I think that is something that, I keep telling myself, oh, I'll just wait until I can outsource, I'm going to go do my nails, I'm going to go do my, eyebrows or whatever. But that's not self-care. I think from what I'm hearing from you, it's really taking your time to establish some sort of practice and setting daily intention.
Absolutely.
That's probably all the I don't know, but I just feel like maybe the simple things could really change a lot of things for me, because I wait until, I can, go get a massage, and that's my self-care, when I can just set a daily intention, and that can be the game changer.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Definitely, I needed to hear that. So, all right. Thank you so much. Julie.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hi. Oh, I'm unmuted. Okay. So I have slides, and I'm also going to go rogue for a second because Toni was saying stuff that was so good that you couldn't see me, but I'm over here like writing things down because I was having all these thoughts come up too. And one thing that I think about with the idea of work-life balance that I like to think about is that all of this is life. Like whether it's you're at work or you're at home, I like the idea of thinking of it as one thing rather than separate. I also realize that we are moms with businesses or not, but whatever we have going on can make it feel like they're separate. But I like to approach my business as if it's all part of my life. I want to enjoy all of it as much as I can. The other thing I thought of when Toni was talking was there was a research study, and I don't have the citation with me, but they were researching people's level of presence doing anything, whether it was driving, doing the dishes with their kids. And the research found that people who were present, even when all they were doing was driving, reported greater levels of happiness than people who could not tap into being present. So even being present driving, rather than scrolling through your phone at every red light or stop sign, or maybe not stop sign, but red light, even that level of presence, just being in the car with a few minutes of like quiet is helpful and can increase happiness. So those were things that were coming to mind for me. So going to my first slide, we covered it a little bit on the intro slide. Just a little bit of my background. One thing I tell people, I focus a lot on mindset and intuition like Toni does, which I think is really awesome. I have my earbuds in because my husband's giving my kids a bath and they're so loud, you guys. So we can skip the background because we did that. And then just looking at kind of my general philosophy when I work with people is that our best actions are aligned actions. Otherwise, there's kind of really no point and they won't be effective. So kind of thinking about being aligned with your core, your why, your goals, your true self. And I think that comes to kind of the stories that can sometimes hold us back because we think we are taking certain actions or having certain ambitions because we're kind of supposed to. So kind of letting go of the stories that don't serve you, rewriting your stories, kind of living your life with a narrative that's really aligned with your intuition is what I focus on with people.
I love that.
So thinking about kind of the frazzled, stressed, kind of how we can all be sometimes, I think it's really important to go back to your why and why are you pursuing whatever business you're pursuing? Why are you in the career that you're in? Why are you at home most of the time with your children? Because I think that can guide you, it can calm you, and can be a reminder of, oh, this is why I'm doing all of this. So it's almost like a recentering, kind of bringing you back to your core. And so I encourage people, you don't have to do this right now, but to think about like, what is your why? And really digging deep on that. And so sometimes in thinking about your why, I'll say, like, ask yourself why 5 times to really dig deep. So let's say it's, why did you pursue a business? Well, because I want extra income. Why? Well, because if I have extra income, I can leave my day job. Well, why do you want to do that? So I can have more time at home. Why do you want that? So I can, and then you just kind of dig deep to really get to the core. I think that can be really helpful. Ways to do that are through journaling. Sometimes I talk to myself when I'm driving. I do try to be present. And one way I do that is to kind of talk out loud, like what's going on today, kind of be in touch with my own voice. And sometimes even doing image boards. Sometimes people I work with, they'll do like a private Pinterest board so that they can pull visual inspiration connected to their why that not everyone who follows them on Pinterest can see. So that's something that might be helpful too. So thinking about like connecting with your voice, Toni and I are really on the same page with this. If we kind of look at the next slide, when we wake up in the morning, Toni alluded to this too, like we can be really frantic in our thinking when we wake up, and it's kind of go, 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 go. Toni, I love you. We're so aligned. I know. So I really do my best, and I encourage the people I work with too to connect with their voice every morning. And it sounds like, well, how do I do that? I'm making lunches, I'm getting the kids out the door. I do it when I make my coffee. So I do like a pour over coffee, and I know it takes like 2 minutes for that water to pour over. So I know those are my 2 minutes. Like sometimes I have my journal. Sometimes the planner that I use has a spot for setting a weekly intention. So I'll kind of review that. Like mine for this week with the first week back to school was calm focus, because I did feel frazzled thinking my daughter's back at school. Now I've got to go, 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 go. But that mentality sometimes can get in the way of being too fast paced. So kind of connecting with my voice, taking a minute to slow down, and kind of give yourself space to hear. And that's where meditation, I think, is great. You know, Blessing, you talked about not always having a lot of time. You can do like a 3-minute, 5-minute meditation. And we talked about this at the panel recently. If you can only do one thing, like I recommend meditating, and then I recommend walking, even just 5 minutes. And sometimes people can put them together, like a walking meditation, which isn't exactly the same as kind of a legit meditation, but combining the two is really just a way to kind of get some movement and have some headspace. I think we all need that a lot. Journaling, meditating, like I said, a daily intention or a weekly intention can be helpful. Then talking about self-care. So Blessing, it's not just when you get a massage, you're the one kind of giving us your material. So we're going to run with that. But I encourage self-care every single day, just like brushing your teeth, like Toni said. And so it can be big, it can be something smaller. On the next slide, Blessing, I have just a few examples of what maybe people would consider for self-care. And maybe it's redefining self-care. Where, you know, your mind might be saying self-care is getting a massage. Sometimes self-care is having a piece of dark chocolate. It's calling your best friend or your sister. So maybe redefining self-care, like I say, like it can be something grand or it can be something like easy peasy that you do pretty quickly, but it should be something that I think everyone's doing for themselves every day. Let's see what else I've got on this slide here. That's pretty much it, guys. Covered that one. And then one thing that I think when people are ambitious, this is really hard to do, but there are some things that you have got to let go and some things that you have to do less of. And so I think about what could you let go and really think about that. So I think for a lot of people, it's time on social media. And if I'm not saying social media is bad at all. That's how most of us got connected, through social media, through Blessing and Mother Honestly. But it's thinking about maybe putting parameters around your social media use that can be helpful. Same with obligations for kids in school. Like, is it the semester or the year to be a room mom? maybe not. Same with social commitments, and really giving yourself permission to kind of take back a yes. And if you don't have the space for something, you can kind of gracefully bow out. Because I always go back to this alignment piece. And if you're doing something that you don't want to be doing, you're not going to feel good about it. And the people you're with may or may not notice, but ultimately how you feel about it is what matters the most. So kind of thinking about that. And then I put, for the love of sanity, do not let self-care be the one thing that you let go. Kind of keeping that. One kind of strategy that I offer on the next slide is thinking about how to organize your tasks. And for some people, what works best is these are the tasks I have to get through today or this week. They conquer those and then they move on. For other people that I work with and people in general, it's more thinking, I have this many hours and I'm going to do whatever I can in those hours. And I encourage people to commit, like commit. And so if you get those tasks done, you can be done. You might find that you're inspired to kind of pick up a new task if there's still kind of time in the week or time in the day. But you might kind of take a little time for self-care. Same with kind of getting all the tasks checked off or setting a certain number of hours, where if the hours is the method, it's again, commit. And if you don't get everything done in those hours, if there isn't kind of this great kind of deadline, then it's kind of giving yourself permission to commit to that, and you've kind of put your hours in. So that's kind of two ways that a lot of people approach managing their tasks. Then I know some people have trouble kind of winding down at night. So on the next slide, I have just a few quick tips that if your head is spinning at night, kind of what to do about that. Sometimes you just need to get those thoughts out. So kind of grabbing a piece of paper, whether it's in your journal or something just like a piece of paper that you don't care to keep, get those thoughts out before you go to bed. Sometimes when you're in bed, if you find your head is still racing, even my daughter does this and she's 6. So I work mindfulness into kind of raising my children as well and helping them deal with kind of the day-to-day. And so one is like putting one hand on your heart and one hand on your chest, or heart and stomach, and doing deep breathing that way. And then you could have a mantra with that if you want, or not. It's kind of up to you. And then I like to have something enjoyable next to my bed, even if I don't pick it up and I like conk out right away. But whether it's like crystals, a candle, a book, like my bedside right now has crystals, it has a candle, and it has my journal, and it has a book. So it's all right there. Right now I'm reading The Alchemist. And so I'll like pick that up, read a few pages, and then go to bed. So I think having a good wind down at night is helpful. Then I have just everything we just talked about kind of in review on the next slide, so that kind of on a replay or a recording, you can look at this. But really important to know your why, like why in the heck are you doing this? There's got to be a reason why you're pulling yourself in lots of different directions. Connect with your voice every morning, self-care, know when to let things go. Pick a strategy that works for you, whether it's time versus tasks, and then winding down. And then just really thinking that like all of this is life, like all of it, like when you're in the car driving to pick up your kids from school, like that is as much life as like being on this call right now. And so I think like Toni was saying, like all of it deserves so much of our presence, because we've got to pass the time anyway. So we might as well kind of be in it and enjoy it. And then the last slide, I just have some ways to connect with me, both for the journal or for life coaching. And that's it.
Awesome. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see, because I know a lot of people are on mute. So. Okay, because so one of the things that stood out to me, Julie, is the it's okay. I wrote it down. It's okay to resign a yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, I'm always like, so whenever I commit to something, because I am a type A, you know, like if I say I'm going to do something, I like to follow through, and it's just hard. I need to be saying no to some things that I've said yes to, or because I I really love helping people. And when somebody reaches out to me and say, hey, you know, I really need help with this, it's so hard for me to say no. And I say yes. And by the time that event comes around, it's so much, you know, it just takes so much out of me that I'm like, why did I say yes to this? But, you know, it's happening tomorrow. It's too late to say no. So what do you like? What kind of advice do you have? Like if something is like happening today or tomorrow and I want to say no, how can I lay that out in a way that it's not offensive? How do I do that?
I think before that part, I would say kind of what's the story that you're telling yourself that you have to be the person that says yes all the time. And it's great to want to help people, but why do you think that it's Blessing who's the one that does that all the time? And really dig deep about the story of saying yes and what does it mean to say no. Like, I think that in itself has some digging and work to do around that. And then the idea of kind of how to bow out when something's really coming up quickly is one thing that I think is a really accurate word to use is the word overcommitted. Like, I'm so sorry, I have overcommitted myself. And that can mean a lot of things. It can mean you double booked. It can mean you don't have the mental capacity or the kind of, not mental, but energy capacity was the word I was looking for. And so kind of thinking about letting someone know, like, I've overcommitted, I'm so sorry, like, please let me know how I could help in the future.
I was going to share, I'm going to pull them up in a minute, but I wanted to share various ways that I make suggestions on how to say no. So like I first of all my friends and family know that I always tell them, like, because I love you, I welcome your no. You know, I welcome you to say no to me. You know, I don't want you to think that, I don't want you to overthink that saying no to me means that I don't love you or I don't accept you, or, you know, and so there are ways that you can say it, as you said, without offending people. So here are some ways that I want to share with you that I share with so many women. You can say, I hear you, and no. I appreciate how important this is to you, and no. I really want to please you, and no. You could be right, and no. No, and I need your support on this. I really don't know yet. Can you ask me later? I know not to say yes to this. If that changes, I'll get back to you. So it's taking this empathetic approach to saying no. It's like, I really want to say yes to this, but I have to say no because I don't have any more brain space. I don't have the energy to be present for this. And I need your support in that. I want to say yes, but I know I will be overextending or overcommitting to something. What's your thoughts? How do you feel about me saying that? You know, just having that bold and empathetic, graceful way of saying no, but it's like also making the ask, like, can you support me in this? Because I'm used to saying yes to you. And I'm considering how you feel about my no, but I know I need to say yes to myself because I don't have the energy or brain space to be present.
Yes. All right. Does anybody else have any question before we let Toni and Julie go? Bring all the questions. You guys told me you had questions around work-life balance. You had questions about alignment. So where are those questions? Is that Jessica? Okay, so Jenny said, what is your limit for social media per day? Let me unmute everyone. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. My limit for social media a day. You know what? Social media, first of all, it's two things for me. It's how I run my business and it's fun. Social media is like the y'all remember what was it we used to do in elementary school? Show and tell. Social media is like the show and tell for adults. It's like, look at me, look what I'm doing. Do you think it's cool? Do you want to buy it? Do you want to come? Like, look, you know, it's like the adult show and tell. So I think it's so fun and playful to like do a selfie, you know, show some lifestyle. And then I also think it's very strategic to use it for business. you know, use it for professional purposes. I mean, it's literally how I built my brand, you know. So when it comes to, girl, what's my limit? Oh my God, I don't think I have one. I don't think I have one. I think I should. I think I should though, because it's like, oh my God, it's like a part of my life. It's like breathing. It's like, it's a part of my, because I have a business and because I love, it's like it's like play time too, you know, because I have a personal one and I have a professional one, and it's just fun. So I don't know. I think I visit that a little bit, because it's times where I'll be like, Toni, you was really on there for a long time. That's not good, you know? So I have to get back with you on that. But I think it is, I will say this, in my opinion, I do think it is healthy to have a limit. I do.
Julie, what's
so I don't give myself kind of like a time limit. I try to think about more, what's my purpose? Like, why am I going on social media? If it's because I'm bored, not a good reason. If it's because I'm looking to be inspired or because I want to connect with somebody, then I'll go on. So I kind of do more of a gut check rather than a time check. There have been times where I've thought, whoa, you were just like doing this, and like there was no thought. So like, even being present with social media use. So I don't give myself a time, but I'm pretty intentional about when and how I use social media.
I like the gut check, because sometimes, you know, just for the sake of creating content, right? You just kind of throw things out there without, you know, there's no strategy behind it. And if you're using social media for business, and I know we have a social media class coming up, this is one of the things that we'll be discussing at that class. But if you're using social media for business, or, you know, or even for personal, it needs to be strategic as well, because you just don't want to throw information out there that, you know, once it's out there, right? You know, it needs to be intentional. It needs to be well thought of. And I struggle there as well, as, you know, what is appropriate for social media and what is not. But it's one of those things where, you know, I guess maybe in 10 years, there'll be a study around, you know, adults that use social media and, you know, how our brains have developed, maybe. So there's a question from Lindsay. She said, what is your favorite suggestion for beginners to meditation? So she has tried and she has stopped multiple times, and she's just terrible at it. And I think that she speaks for me, because I am awful when it comes to meditation.
So my first recommendation is the app Headspace. The man's voice is like dreamy and calming, and I don't mean dreamy in a romantic way, but like you put those earbuds in and it just like, his voice makes me relax. So I love Headspace. But I think that can help like build a practice to then be able to do it when you don't have earbuds or you're not using an app, and just kind of being able to do it on your own. But Headspace is my go-to for beginners.
Okay. For me, meditation first, we need to address the belief that you're not good at it. You know, say you're not good at meditation, it's a limiting belief. It's like almost saying, I'm not good at breathing. I'm not good at, no, meditation is very doable for you. First, let's address that belief. I'm not good at meditation. So what does it look like for you to be good at meditation? What would you do then? You know? So first address that, you know, switch that belief around to an empowering belief. And then what I use is Insight Timer. It's an app. And what I love about it is like, if I want to grow in my gratitude, I can type in gratitude and do a 2-minute meditation on gratitude, or 20-minute. I can choose how much time I want to meditate, from an hour, 2 minutes, 1 minute. If I'm feeling frazzled or stressed, you can type in stress and it'll give you a 2-minute, 5-minute, 8. Like, that's what I love about it. If I want to get rid of old attachment issues from with an ex, I can type that in and it'll pull up a meditation that has to do with cord detachments to old soulmates, you know. So that's what I love about Insight Timer, is that I can, if I'm running late because I slept in bed a little bit too long, I'm like, okay, let me do this 2-minute meditation before I start my day. If I have more time in my morning, I'll do a 10-minute or 15-minute meditation. So that app is called Insight Timer. So, but having a meditation app is just, I think it's like major. That's the only way I can be consistent in meditation.
That's amazing. Okay, it looks like that's all the question we have. Katie said she doesn't have any questions, but she really needed this today. So she's been frazzled and overwhelmed. I'm the same. I have been completely, Julie sent me a slide and I responded with, how can this help a frazzled, crazy mom like me?
I was thinking, is Blessing asking for a friend here, or is Blessing asking for blessing?
I'm asking for myself, okay? It's so needed, especially, a lot of, we're all moms, and the modern mom today is multi-dimensional. I pick up from a lot of us on this call today. We have a job and we have side hustles, or we have, a real, an entrepreneurial pursuit, and then we have other side hustles, and then we have kids, and we have partners, and it's back to school, it's daycare drop-offs, it's that tax that needs to be paid, and that bill that I was driving from a photo shoot this afternoon, and I was pretty much on the phone with a pediatrician, and then she transferred me to the financial person to pay my bills. I mean, it's just a lot. Everything is just so demanding that I can't breathe. I know that we need to, I almost can't breathe. So this was very useful to me, because I feel like I can at least take some time for meditation. I can, do some why, before I even step out there and try to accomplish things. Why is this important to me? And I hope that everybody else got something out of it as well. So thank you very much for your time. What else? What do we have going on? So
download one of those apps, Blessing, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to download Headspace tonight. And I'll also look up Insight Timer as well. This weekend, we have the Managing the Juggle. So it's downtown Birmingham at the park. So if you mamas want to come out, bring your kids. Lindsay is going to be there. She's going to be helping us out with some fitness routine. We're all going to have fun. And I am so excited to see you all again. We also have a social media kind of like training. We're basically doing what you mamas want. You've told us that you need help with social media. So maybe it's a good time as well, Julie, to talk about being present, not just, growing your audience, but also being present. And like Toni said, being much strategic around it. So I can't wait to see you guys September 9th, September 16th. Sorry, not 16. It's, is it 19? I think it's 19. So anyways, it's on the calendar. So I can't wait to see you guys then. If you're yet to purchase your ticket to the summit, do so. Tickets are like selling like crazy. I'm super excited. It's going to be an amazing day for everyone. And I think a lot of people on this call are coming to the summit. So that's great. Except Beth, who is going to hopefully, she's probably going to be welcoming a baby by then. We're not sure if it's a boy or a girl. So I guess she'll tell us then. But super excited. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I know you need to get back to your families. But please, please, please send me an email. Give us a feedback on how this is going. If we should continue with this format, if you like it or not. Next time in October, we're bringing in a business and career coach. So she's a serial author. So she's written about 4 to 5 best-selling books. She's an amazing woman. She's been my executive coach for a while. So I basically told her, I said, you need to meet this wonderful group of ours. I can't wait to have her share our knowledge around business, leveling up in career, leveling up in your game as a mom, in your business, and really just, going for it. I think one thing she's going to walk on with us is having a serving mindset. So instead of selling to your audience or to your clients, how do you serve so that, when you serve, and then you sell, you actually sell big, right? So she's going to give us some strategies there around, how to have a serving mindset in business and beyond. So I'm super excited for that. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I will see you guys on Sunday if you're coming.
Good night.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
you, Blessing.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
I said no, dude.
He's like, are those your kids, Julie?
No, those weren't mine. I don't know who that was.
How did it go?
Was that you, Blessing?
Yeah. I said, how did it go? Did you have fun?
I had fun, yeah. I love face-to-face so much that it's hard to there's no way to read
Correct.
how people are reacting, because I think sometimes that can influence a public speaking engagement. Kind of, you see people kind of perk up, so you know to focus on that versus move on. So that's the only thing that I think always comes up with a video conference, but I had fun. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah. And I think that, I think it's also important to remember that, a lot of us are moms. And so we try to do some online, some offline, right? Interaction.
Oh, totally.
Having a back. But I think even also having, that online as well, so that people that are not able to make it to, to the face-to-face are able to make it to a virtual experience, and they can still learn and grab something that is useful for their lives.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I do webinars too, like as a host and a consumer. So I totally see the value for sure.
That's perfect. No, I really enjoyed the content today. I think it was very needed. I think, especially, I think I really need it right now. So maybe I'm doing this selfishly for me. So that's great.
But you're serving at the same time, like your business coach says, because then, you're spreading it to other moms too. So it's great.
Yes. So, I mean, a lot of businesses are started because you were looking for something and you couldn't find it, right? So again, it all starts from a selfish perspective, and then you find out that a lot of people also resonate with that. They also want that, the same experience. And that's how businesses get started every day.
Yeah. That's why I started the birth journal. I had this idea and I couldn't find it. So I was like, well, I guess that means I'm going to make it.
Yes.
So
that's
same thing.
That's a good idea. Okay. All right. You ladies have a wonderful evening. I'll stop the recording and, oh man.